You meet someone new, and within seconds, something inside you quietly decides who they are. Not logically, not carefully, just a feeling. They seem fake. He's probably arrogant. She feels different, in a good way. And just like that, a complete story is formed. No evidence, no real understanding, just a feeling that feels true. Now here's the part. Most people never realize that story is not about them. It's about you. And your mind is lying to you about people. Every single day. Not in an obvious way. Not like a clear mistake. But in subtle, convincing, almost invisible ways that shape your relationships, your confidence, and even your decisions, without you noticing. And once you start seeing these lies, you start realizing how many of your thoughts about people were never real to begin with. Let's start with something simple. You send a message. They don't reply. At first, it's nothing. A few minutes pass. Then more time goes by. And slowly, your mind starts creating meaning. They're ignoring me. They don't care. I said something wrong. They've lost interest. And now your mood changes. Your energy drops. You feel rejected, even though nothing actually happened. Because, here's the truth. Silence is neutral. But your mind refuses to keep it that way. It fills silence with stories. And those stories don't come from reality. They come from your past, from your insecurities, from your previous experiences. Your mind is not trying to understand what's happening. It's trying to complete the pattern. If you've been ignored before, your brain assumes it's happening again. If you felt rejected before, your brain connects the dots, even when the dots aren't there. And the scariest part? You don't experience this as imagination. You experience it as fact. That's how powerful your mind is. It can create something that feels completely real, without any real evidence. Now think about this. How many times have you believed someone didn't like you, without them ever saying it? Maybe they were quiet. Maybe they didn't smile. Maybe their tone felt off. And your mind immediately decided they don't like me. But what if they were just tired? What if they were anxious? What if they were overthinking their own life? What if their behavior had nothing to do with you at all? Your mind makes everything about you. That's one of its biggest lies. It assumes you are the center of every situation. If someone is distant, it must be because of you. If someone acts differently, you must have caused it. If someone pulls away, you must have done something wrong. But in reality, most people are not thinking about you nearly as much as you think. They're busy thinking about themselves, their problems, their stress, their fears, just like you are. Now here's where it gets deeper. Your mind doesn't just create stories, it creates labels, fast, automatic. And once those labels are formed, they become hard to change. You meet someone once, and your brain decides they're boring, they're rude, they're confident, they're not my type of person. And from that moment on, everything you see about them is filtered through that label. If you think someone is rude, even neutral behavior feels rude. If you think someone is kind, even their mistakes feel understandable. It's like your brain locks in a version of that person and stops updating it. But here's the truth. Your mind hides from you. That label is not reality. It's a shortcut. Your brain creates shortcuts because understanding people fully takes effort. It takes time. It takes patience. It takes curiosity. And your brain doesn't like effort, so it simplifies. It reduces a complex human being into a single idea. And once that happens, you stop seeing who they actually are. You only see who your mind decided they are. This is why people feel misunderstood, not because they are confusing, but because others are interacting with a version of them that exists only in their minds. Now let's talk about something even more powerful. Your mind doesn't just lie about others, it also lies about how others see you. You walk into a room, and suddenly, You feel like everyone is watching you, judging you, noticing every small detail, every mistake, every awkward movement. But here's what's actually happening. Most people are not focused on you. They're focused on themselves. They're thinking about how they look, what they said, what they should say next. The pressure you feel is not coming from them. It's coming from your own mind. It creates an invisible spotlight and places you under it. And because you believe that spotlight is real, you change your behavior. You become quieter, more careful, more self-conscious. Not because people are judging you, but because you believe they are. And belief shapes behavior. Now here's something even more subtle. Your mind assumes people are consistent. It wants people to be simple, predictable, easy to understand. So it creates fixed identities: good person, bad person, loyal, fake, confident, insecure. But real people don't work like that. Someone can be kind and still hurt you. Someone can be confident and still feel insecure. Someone can care about you and still need space. But your mind struggles with this complexity. It prefers clean, simple categories. So when someone acts differently than expected, it feels like something is wrong. You think they've changed. They're not who I thought they were. But maybe. They were always more complex than your mind allowed. Your mind didn't lie to hurt you. It lied to simplify reality. But simplicity comes with a cost. You lose accuracy. You lose understanding. And most importantly, you lose connection. Because real connection requires seeing people as they are, not as your mind describes them. Now let's bring this into relationships. Most people think arguments happen because of what was said. But that's not true. Arguments happen because of what was interpreted. One person says something simple. The other person hears something completely different. Tone gets misunderstood. Intent gets misread. Meaning gets distorted. And suddenly, both people feel hurt. Not because of reality, but because of their interpretation of reality. Your mind doesn't hear words. It creates meaning. And that meaning is shaped by your past experiences, your emotions, and your beliefs. That's why two people can hear the exact same sentence and feel completely different things. Now here's the deeper truth. Your mind is not designed to show you reality. It's designed to protect you. It wants to keep you safe. And sometimes, safety means assuming the worst. It fills in gaps quickly so you don't feel uncertain. It creates stories so you feel in control. But protection and truth are not the same thing. And when you confuse the two, you start reacting to things that aren't even real. You start living inside interpretations instead of reality. And over time, these small distortions create big consequences. You distance yourself from people who actually care about you. You trust people based on false assumptions. You miss opportunities to connect. You overthink situations that never meant anything. And slowly, your relationships become shaped by things that were never real to begin with. That's the hidden cost of believing your mind too quickly. But here's the turning point. The moment you realize your mind can lie, you gain something most people never develop: awareness. You don't stop thinking. You don't stop feeling. But you stop blindly believing every thought. Instead of saying, "They don't like me," you pause and ask, "What proof do I actually have?" Instead of saying, "They're rude," you ask, "What else could explain this?" Instead of jumping to conclusions, you create space for possibility, and that small shift changes everything. Because now, you're not trapped inside your thoughts. You're observing them, and when you observe your thoughts, you start seeing people more clearly, not perfectly, but more honestly. You begin to understand that people are not simple. They are emotional, complicated, inconsistent, human, just like you. And maybe the most important realization is this: Other people's minds are also lying to them about you. They are making assumptions, judging your behavior, creating stories about who you are, just like you do. Which means misunderstanding is not rare. It's normal, it's constant, and real connection only happens when someone is willing to go beyond those assumptions. Now imagine what would change in your life if you stopped believing every story your mind creates about people. Less overthinking, less anxiety, less unnecessary pain, more clarity, more confidence, more genuine connection, because now you're responding to reality, not reacting to illusions. So, the next time your mind quickly decides who someone is, pause, not because your mind is useless, but because it's incomplete. And remember this, people are not your thoughts about them. They are far more complex, far more unpredictable, and far more real. And the moment you start seeing that, your relationships change. Your confidence changes. Your entire experience of people changes. Not because the world changed, but because you finally stopped believing the lies your mind was telling you. And maybe that's the biggest shift of all, realizing that the problem was never people. It was the story your mind created about them. And once you stop living inside that story, you finally start seeing people for who they really are.